my name is Beck and welcome to a massive book haul. I have not filmed a book haul in about 6 months, so I'm just trying to play a bit of catch up here. There are probably some titles that you've seen on various TBR videos, but there are also new books in here as well that I've gotten and haven't talked about yet. So without further ado, let's jump into all of the books that I have acquired since like April. The 100,000 Kingdoms by N.K. Jemisin. This is on my November to be read pile, and I don't know if I'll get to it, but we'll see. It has mortals, it has demons and gods, and I think it's got royalty and rebellion. I don't really know much about it, and I'm probably not going to know a ton about all of the books I talk about, so if you want more of a synopsis for each one, I'll link all of the Goodreads links in the description. I will put them in the order that I talk about, so you'll be able to find them easily. But N.K. Jemisin is an author that I've enjoyed in the past, and so I'm keen to read more of her backlog. I do want to get The Killing Moon at some point. I haven't got it yet, so I'm going to see how much I like this first before diving into the rest of her backlog, but I think I'm going to enjoy it at least. I've also got The Bone Shard Daughter, and this is one that I've seen very much on Elliot Brooks's channel, and I'm hoping that I like it as much as she loves it. I know the sequel is coming out either late this year or early next year, so for jumping on the bandwagon for this series, I timed it quite well with a minimal wait between books, but that might just mess me up if this is a trilogy, because that'll mean a longer wait for the third book. Anyway, this is a book that I think it's adult, but I'm not entirely sure. Maybe it's YA leaning into adult. It has bone shard magic and a rebellion. That's all I need to know. I think it's potentially got a female-female romance in here. So any book that has a queer relationship in a fantasy setting that's done well, I'm interested in. And I hope that I really like the magic system set up in here. I think it's going to be a really interesting, cataclysmic kind of climactic read. So I'm hoping that I like this one as well. Another book that I got as a recommendation from Elliot Brooks's channel is The Ninth Reign. And this is the first book in the Winnowing Flame trilogy. I know this is an adult fantasy. I know it's got quite a complicated magic and world building attached to it. And I'm looking forward to getting into this one as well. Again, I don't know much about it other than the hype that I've seen for it in various videos and comments. Whenever I've talked about this in the past, I've always had a few people say that they adored this book, and I'm really hoping that I'm on that bandwagon, but once I read it, I will report back. And then we've got The Black Hawks, and this is one that I recently put in my November reading list, and when I read the top part of the blurb at the back of the book, I was really jazzed about it because it just sounds like the amount of sarcasm and sardonic humor in a book that I could ask for. And it says, life as a knight is not what veteran Chell imagined. Bound by oath to a dead-end job in the service of a lazy step-uncle, Chell no longer dreams of glory, he dreams of going home. And honestly, I can really relate to this general tone. So I'm looking forward to reading this. Also, it relates very much to that tone and vibe of Kings of the Wild, which I quite enjoyed. And Kings of the Wild, again, was told through one character's perspective, and it was a love letter to D&D. And it was basically about these veterans who used to be heroes in their prime, and now they've got to go on a quest anyway, even though they're too old to do so, to rescue somebody's daughter. So I like that they got the band back together and went on this quest, and it was told in a very sarcastic tone. And I think with this like dead-end job and this lazy step-uncle kind of situation, I think it's going to be quite funny and quite tongue-in-cheek and very sarcastic as well. And that's what I'm looking for in a fantasy book. I'm looking for a bit of humor as well as obviously dark stuff going on, and I think this is going to deliver. I also have Legendborn by Tracy Deonn, and this is a urban fantasy, so it's got dark academia. It's about a girl who goes to college. At the college, she finds out that there is magic there. She learns magic. She also realizes that her mum might have been murdered, and so there's a murder mystery involved. I think it's going to be interesting. I hope I like it. I put it on my 5-star predictions video, and I don't know if I'm going to get to it this year given how thick it is, but I would very much like to, because I've put it off a couple of times just because I haven't made time for it. So I'm anticipating that I'll finish this year, given that it's on a 5-star predictions for this year. But again, my reading super up and down, super hard to predict. So if you've read this, I know some people have given it 1 star because they've hated it. I really hope I don't hate it. So if you've given it more than 1 star, let me know, because I want to be hyped for this book. I can't believe I haven't done a book haul in so long that I have to put Heartstopper Volume 4, because it feels like I have read this book ages ago and I only read it mid this year, and I have a review for it as well. It really surprises me that my book haul just took so long for me to get to. I just haven't had a collection that was big enough to warrant filming a haul. Anyway, Heartstopper is a contemporary graphic novel about 2 boys that fall in love in high school, and it deals with a lot of mental health issues, friends and family, and coming out, and I loved it. And I really enjoyed this as well. I gave it 4 stars. I quite enjoy this series. I think it's getting a Netflix adaptation, and I don't know when the next volume is out, but I always tend to pre-order them because I love this series. And I was a bit of an art snob when I first looked at them. I was like, I don't like this art. It's not very detailed, but I don't know what I was talking about because it's very full of expression and tone and character. And so I don't know what I was talking about in the past. I love this series and I can't wait to continue. And now next are some books that I didn't want to mess up the bookshelf behind me, so I didn't pull off all of them, but I got a bunch of Dresden books recently to catch up with my series, and so I'm listening to these on audiobook and I'm getting them physically as I go. So I just bought a couple in future because I like holding them up for a review and I love the series in general, so I want to support the author and also put the books on my shelf. So I bought a whole bunch more of the Dresden Files. Probably didn't need to buy them all in bulk, but here we are. And now I generally don't buy mass market paperbacks, but because I've been mostly ordering online, I haven't realized that they were mass market paperbacks, which is a little bit annoying. But I got Magic Bites by Ilona Andrews, Kushal's Dart, and I also got Furies of Calderon by Jim Butcher, which is the same author as the Dresden Files. So this is a massive fantasy series and it involves some kind of Pokemon aspect, and I'm interested to see how the author mixes character, Pokemon theme and general fantasy quest into a series. So that's why I got this one. And then I also wanted to try another urban fantasy with Ilona Andrews because I've heard that her Kate Daniels series is quite good, and so I want to be part of that fandom, so that's why I bought this. I did have it on my October to be read list, but I didn't quite get to it, so I'm looking forward to starting this at some point. Maybe this year, we'll see how I go, but if I don't start it this year, it's no big deal. I will start it eventually. And then of course I have Kushal's Dart. I don't know too much about this one either. It says, a young woman with a unique gift, pricked by Kushal's Dart, she is bound to forever experience pain and pleasure as one. So I know and have been told that this involves BDSM, and if it's got sex scenes that are involved with characters for a particular purpose, then generally I'm okay with it. But if it's just gratuitous, then I'm not going to be a huge fan. So some people have come out of the woodwork and gone, you're going to hate this book. Some have gone, give it 151 pages, because by that point there's a real turning point and you might be able to enjoy it by then. So I really just don't know about this book. I was recommended it and pitched it by a close friend of mine, and then other people have gone, no, you'll hate it. So I'm really interested to see where I fall on this one, and if I don't get to it this year, that's okay, because it's quite big and I'm nervous to start it, so I might end up pushing it off, but we'll see. Okay, we are in the home stretch. So I have A Memory Called Empire. This is a science fiction novel about a woman who got a job on a different planet, and she's a political ambassador, but what she doesn't know before she arrives at this new job is that the previous ambassador before her was murdered and no one is really talking about it, and so she's got to try and solve this murder mystery while also surviving herself, as well as assimilating to a new job in a new world. So I'm looking forward to, I think this is a standalone, and I don't read as much sci-fi as I want to, as I talked about in my sci-fi wrap-up. So if you have sci-fi that you think I would like, let me know, because I'm always interested. And I have a sci-fi title or two still on this book haul, but A Memory Called Empire is one that I've seen floating around, and I again wanted to just be on the bandwagon. So the premise is enough for me to think I'll be interested, and I hope I give this at least a 4 or 5 stars, but of course I will read it at some point and report back. And now the other sci-fi that I've got is Foundation by Isaac Asimov, and generally with older sci-fi I am a little bit anxious or concerned about where I'm going to fall on this, because they go into different stereotypes and they can be quite sexist or racist, so I'm hoping that isn't used too much in a heavy-handed way in this series. I'm hoping, we'll see. Sometimes there's a point where I can draw a line and it doesn't bother me as much because it's not overused, but when it comes to older sci-fi, I'm just again concerned. So I really don't know how I'm going to feel about this. I also have Dune on my TBR as well, so hopefully with those 2 older science fiction books I can get on board with liking both of them, but it's quite small, so I'm hoping I can get through it pretty quickly if that's the case, and we'll see. I haven't checked out the audiobook, but I don't think I need to. I think I'll finish this pretty quickly when I eventually do put it on a reading list. And then I also bought Empire of the Vampire by J. Kristoff. This is a signed edition, surprisingly, and it is a vampire apocalypse story told from a character named Gabriel. So he's 35 in his telling, and he's looking back at all of his experiences that led him to this point. And I like that general formula, but the way that it's being written, because I'm currently reading it at the moment, the way that it's currently being written is not in a way that I can get on board with. It's very telling, so it's literally telling you the story as it's happening, and because Gabriel is directly telling you the story and there are quotations on every paragraph, it's a bit grating and it's frustrating me, as well as his voice and narrative style is quite pretentious seeming, and so it just feels like Nevernight but put into an adult category so you can fit more swearing in every page. It's not a book that I'm loving at the moment, but it's one that I had to order and see if I liked, because I've been falling up and down or out of love with a bunch of J. Kristoff's work lately, and I think my reading taste has just progressed beyond him, and he's not a favorite author of mine anymore, and this is really answering that question for me. I don't think he's my favorite author anymore, but we'll see. I haven't finished this yet. I'm not even halfway through, so I could look back at this video and go, Beck, you're wrong, but I don't think I will be, based on some feedback I've had from a friend. So we'll see how this goes. I don't think it's going to be anywhere near a 4 stars, maybe a 3, probably a 2. I'm honestly not sure, but it's not hitting me the way the hype is hitting everybody else for this book, so I'm probably a very unpopular opinion. And now we are down to the final 2 books. One is a fantasy, one is a contemporary. The fantasy is The Bone Ships by A.J. Barker. This is a pirate-centric story, so it's set on the water on a ship like the Live Ship Traders, and I love that series. And I don't know anything about this. I was just captured by the cover and the fact that it was piratey in nature. It says, 2 nations at war, a prize beyond compare. For generations, the 100 Isles have built their ships from the bones of ancient dragons to fight an endless war. How rad does that sound? I'm looking forward to this. I'm so excited. I'm just so excited about this. I've been putting off buying it for like 6 months because I thought, no, I don't need it. I'm not going to read it straight away. And you know what? Now that I've got it, I might not read it straight away, but now I've got it, and I can decide when that might be. So I'm really looking forward to this one. I've seen positive reviews for it. So if you've read it and you gave it a high rating, let me know, because I'm amped to start this one. And then lastly on this book haul is Get a Life, Chloe Brown. And Talia Hibbert is an author for romance that I really wanted to try, and I've heard very engaging positive reviews for her, and so I'm eager to get into this one. I don't know what this is about. I just know that Talia Hibbert has written a whole bunch of like new adult romance books that involve characters in their 20s, and I'm honestly really keen for that. I think she tackles mental health, disability, and queerness in her work as well, which are things that I look for in books, and when they're done excellently, I naturally love them. So I'm really engaged and looking forward to this one as well. It's a contemporary that I have been eyeing off for a long while, and I got it as an early Christmas present from my friend Marie, so I'm really excited about it. I'm just really excited. So if you've read any more romance books and you want to recommend me stuff that you think I'll like, I love enemies to lovers or rivals to lovers. I love queerness, and I love just wholesomeness and humor, so recommend me more below. I would love to hear from you. But that makes the end of my book haul. Thank you so much for watching this video. Let me know some books that you've hauled lately in the comments. I'll come chat to you down there, and I'll see you in my next video. Bye.